Hello everyone, this is Oscar from Crunch Crowd, and welcome to this week's Fun Size Film Review, which continues on from last week, which was a review of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now we are reviewing Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, obviously the middle film in the Star Wars prequel trilogy, directed by George Lucas, released in 2002. Again, I'm sure you all know the one. So this obviously picks up sometime after The Phantom Menace left off, where now we have Hayden Christensen playing Anakin Skywalker, Ewan McGregor reprising his role as Obi-Wan Kenobi. This film, like The Phantom Menace, gets a fair bit of criticism, although I think the general consensus among audiences and critics, for that matter, is that Attack of the Clones is marginally better than The Phantom Menace. To be honest, I think I kind of have to disagree. I would say this is a little worse than The Phantom Menace. Now, if you listen to my review of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, you'll know I'm not really a huge fan of it, but I do think that the last 20 minutes of action scenes really does save it. As I said then, it's a great example of a film's ending kind of bringing up the whole film in terms of quality. You know, an ending of a film will stick in your mind often, more so than any other scene in a film, because it's your parting moment with the film. You know, I do think of The Phantom Menace kind of fondly, even though I really don't think it's very good. And in the case of Attack of the Clones, I really don't think it's very good either. The wooden acting from the previous film continues here, though I'd say it's marginally better. You know, as a whole, just by and large, it's a little bit better. Obviously, with Attack of the Clones, there's also some really, really cheesy dialogue that, you know, directly led to the creation of some memes that I'm sure we all know about. Dello Feligits, for example, spoken by Jar Jar Binks. And, by the way, I'm surprised I forgot to mention Jar Jar Binks last time. That is, I guess, he is a more positive aspect of this film, I guess, because he was overused in the Phantom Menace. And he was just, quite an obnoxious, irritating character. Thankfully, in Attack of the Clones, he's not actually used that much at all. So there's a plus. But yeah, you have the Dello Feligits line. You have Anakin's whole monologue. Not really a monologue, because it's not really that extended. But, he has a little piece about not liking sand. That has become a meme, obviously, as I'm sure many of you will know. Yeah, there's a lot of very, very bad dialogue and bad writing in Attack of the Clones. But the thing that really bogs down Attack of the Clones, I think, is that not only is it badly written, by and large, badly performed, it's also, the film is also, full to the brim with essentially plot-building sequences, For much of the runtime, we're kind of torn between political negotiations about the separatist movement, and obviously the role of Senator Padme Amidala, and romance love story between Anakin and Padme that gets developed in this film. I can imagine if you were expecting a ton of Star Wars action in 2002 and to be presented with what you have in Attack of the Clones, I can imagine someone being quite disappointed. Because there really isn't that much action in the film. It's a very plot-heavy, very plot-building film. Obviously it's setting up events in Revenge of the Sith and the original trilogy, as I said in my previous review. But, there's... I don't know. The thing is, I would be totally fine with a very plot-building film if the scenes of exposition and plot development and character development, as I'm talking about, were actually well-written. If they were well-written and well-acted, and the dialogue was well put together, was well written, then I would have no problem with that, because, the universe of Star Wars is, a very interesting universe, but it's not very well written and it's not very well performed. So I will say it definitely does drag in parts a lot. I mean, for those of you who will have seen, for those of you who've seen my review of The Batman from earlier this year, Matt Reeves' The Batman, I was totally fine with there being very few action sequences in that film, because the characters are so well written and the dialogue is, well constructed, good writing, and a great sense of atmosphere as well, and tone really, really help that film, and, it's much more of a mystery thriller than it is like an action thriller or a, superhero film in the traditional sense, shall we say. But moving back to this, you know, watching this film, I'm able to get into the nostalgic atmosphere of the Star Wars prequels, which is nostalgic to me, obviously, because as I said in my Phantom Menace review, I grew up with, you know, the universe of the prequel films. Now, I remember only watching, I think, portions of Attack of the Clones as a kid. Obviously, I'd never seen the Phantom Menace before, but Revenge of the Sith, we'll get to that next week, of course, is, you know, the film that I watched the most as a kid. But really, my most of my Star Wars prequel universe like experience as a kid was through the two Pandemic Studios Star Wars Battlefront games, which are absolutely excellent in my opinion. I still enjoy playing them tons and tons to this day, and certainly over the EA and DICE Battlefront games. So although I am able to get into that nostalgic atmosphere of the Star Wars prequel universe, it's still I still don't want to let my nostalgia cloud my opinion on the film, and it's not going to, definitely, because there's a lot of missteps in this film. It drags, definitely. It's 2 hours and 22 minutes long, which is not an issue in and of itself until you realize that The Phantom Menace was 2 hours and 16 minutes. I don't know about you, but to me, even though the Attack of the Clones is only 6 minutes longer, it feels like an hour longer. It feels like a major undertaking, whereas The Phantom Menace feels like sort of a light, fun, quick adventure. Which I'm not saying this has to be a light, fun, quick adventure, but still, yeah, no, it really does drag itself out with poorly written expositional scenes. But as with The Phantom Menace, the two major positives here continue to be the final, in this case, 30 minutes of action sequences, which are very, very well done and very entertaining to watch. Yeah, very well done battle sequences at the end of the film, and an excellent lightsaber battle as well. Very enjoyable to watch. So, you know, I'll give the film that. But yeah, overall, I did not necessarily enjoy this as much as The Phantom Menace. It's certainly not, it's not an abysmal film. You know, I don't hate it, but there's not really too much like, oh, and sorry, yes, the other positive point that I was going to mention was obviously John Williams' score, which is phenomenal. It still is really, really amazing. I love especially his prequel music, his prequel trilogy music. It is an element of nostalgia, I think, but even listening to it now and, you know, critiquing it among, you know, the other film scores that I really love. I'm a huge Hans Zimmer fan, for example. It stacks up to Hans Zimmer's scores, even though obviously they go for a little bit of a different style. But regardless, I really love John Williams' scores for the prequel trilogy, and Attack of the Clones music is, yeah, very, very good indeed. The visual effects are more of a mixed bag. Obviously, with The Phantom Menace, I said that visual effects were very good for the time, and I agree with that. I agree with what I said at the time. I do think the visual effects for 1999 were very good in the Phantom Menace. In Attack of the Clones, it's more of a mixed bag because there's a lot of very dodgy-looking visual effects shots. I'd say perhaps even for 2002, but there are some other visual effects hold up better and look better for the time. But regardless, I can't say I really recommend Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. You know, I'm sure many of you watching this have seen Attack of the Clones already, but yeah, I can't say I enjoyed the film very much, but I didn't hate it. It's not an experience I regret. You know, I don't regret watching it. I don't feel like it's been a waste of time, but I do feel like the film definitely dragged on a lot, and the issues I've mentioned previously definitely do stick out more so than in The Phantom Menace. Thank you all for watching. All of our social media links are in the description. Stay tuned for next week's Fun Size Film review, which I think will be on Friday. Yes, we'll try to get the review out on Friday because I'll be doing two separate videos, and that would be Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and then reviews of Episode 1 and Episode 2 of the Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi series on Disney+. That's Friday, May the 27th. All right, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.